Hello students, today we'll study the fifth chapter of geography named as water. Water is very precious for all of us. Earth is called blue planet because water covers 71% of Earth's surface in the forms of rivers, ponds, streams, oceans, and thus make it appear blue in color when seen from the space. The natural process of circulation of water from land to the sky and back to the land again is called the water cycle. Now once again, let's see what water cycle is, how it works. Water is evaporated because of the sun's heat. This evaporation takes place and then the vapor, when cools down, it condenses and forms clouds. And from there it may fall on land or sea in the form of rain or snow or hailstones or sleet. The process by which water continually changes its form and circulates between ocean, atmosphere and land is known as water cycle. Now, our earth is like a terrarium. Terrarium means it's an artificial enclosure for keeping small house plants. Some people have an interest or a habit of keeping plants in their house, indoor plants. They decorate their house with the plants, planting in the glass. I'll show you a picture of it. Here is a picture of terrarium, a glass container. You can see it contains soil and plants. The transparent walls allow for both light and heat to enter the terrarium, and it allows for the creation of a small water cycle. Okay, this happens because moisture from both soil and plants evaporates in the elevated temperature inside the terrarium. Water vapor then condenses on the walls of the container and then falls back to the plants and soil below. So this process, this water cycle takes place. So same way like terrarium, the water cycle takes place in our environment. Water evaporates, gets condensed and then falls back to the ocean, to the river, and this goes on. Okay. The major sources of fresh water are the river, ponds, springs, and glaciers. The water of the ocean is salty or saline as it contains large amount of dissolved salts. It's the same common salt which we use to eat. Now, you must be thinking why this ocean water is salty. So here I explain. The river from the mountains or through the rain when the water is taken to the sea, it carries salty content, the rocks, the pebbles and all along with it, and this goes and get deposits into the ocean or sea. Now, this way the salt is carried through streams and rivers and finally to the sea. And when the evaporation takes place, only the water from the ocean gets evaporated, remaining the salt behind. And this is not a process which has taken in few years, but centuries and centuries. This process has been taken place and still it goes on. So that's why there is more of salt into the ocean water. That's why the ocean water is more salty. Show you the major seas and lakes and rivers given in the book. So we have Pacific Ocean, South Atlantic Ocean, here is Southern Ocean, Indian Ocean, North Atlantic Ocean, Arctic Ocean. Pacific Ocean is more salty. We have Amazon River, Mississippi River. Over here you can see Brahmaputra River, Ganga River. So all that you can have a look in your book. Now let's see the distribution of water bodies. The 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered by water. But all this water which we have on the land, is it useful for us to drink? Let's see. The ocean carries 97.3% of saline water. Saline water means the water which we cannot drink. Now remaining is the fresh water, which is again being distributed into ice caps, mountains or glaciers. That is 2.0. The groundwater 0.68. Freshwater lakes, inland seas 0.009. Salt lakes 0.009. Atmosphere, in the atmosphere also in the form of moisture and we have water 0.0019, and in the rivers 0.0001. So that means only 3% of the water which we can use is fresh water. The 97% is saline water which we cannot use at all. March 22nd is celebrated as World Water Day, when the need to conserve water is reinforced in different ways. Okay, now let's talk about ocean circulations. Unlike the calm water of ponds and lakes, ocean water keeps moving continuously. It is never still. The ocean water keeps on moving. It's never still. The movement that occurs in oceans can be categorized as waves, tides, and currents. The movements in the ocean water is categorized as waves, tides, and currents. Now, waves. When the water on the surface of the ocean rises and falls alternately, they are called waves. When the water on the surface of the ocean rises and falls alternately, they are called waves. Now, how these waves are caused? These waves are caused because of wind. Okay? As wind blows across the surface of the ocean or a lake, it continually disturbs or creates a wave. Okay? During a storm, the winds blowing at a very high speed form huge waves. This may cause a tremendous destruction. An earthquake, a volcanic eruption, or underwater landslides can shift large amount of ocean water. As a result, a huge tidal wave called tsunami. We have heard many a time tsunami has hit different places. That is because of the wind blowing at a very high speed form huge waves. Okay, this may be as high as 15 meter. Even it was measured once 150 meter high. tsunami. These waves travel at a speed of more than 700 km per hour. The tsunami of 2004 caused a very widespread damage in the coastal areas of India. The Indra Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Island got submerged after the tsunami. So here, tsunami, the Earth's pandemonium. We have a detail of tsunami which had hit on December 26th in 2004. Tsunami of 26 December 2004 was the result of the earthquake that had its epicenter close to the western boundary of Sumatra. When it was measured on Richter scale, it has 9.0 magnitude. Tsunami traveled at a speed of 800 km per hour. You can imagine how destructive it was. The Indra Point in Andaman and Nicobar Island had marked the southernmost point of India, got completely submerged. In India, the worst affected areas were the coastal areas of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Pondicherry, and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. There was a huge loss of life and property. Now, next we will learn about tides. The rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water twice in a day is called a tide. In a day, two times the water rises up and then it falls back. It is high tide when water covers more of shore by rising to its highest level. It is low tide when water falls to the lowest level and recedes from the shore. The strong gravitational pull exerted by the sun and the moon on the earth's surface causes the tides. Now let us understand with this figure spring tide and neap tide. Let's first discuss about the spring tide. During the full moon and the new moon, the sun, moon and earth, they come in the same line. It's also called as during Purnima and Amavasya. They come in same line and tides are highest at this time. That's why it's called as spring tide or high tide. But when the moon is in its first or last quarter and sun, earth and moon, they are in a perpendicular position, it results in low tides. This happens because the ocean water gets drawn in diagonally opposite directions by the gravitational pull of sun, earth, resulting in low tides. Okay. Spring tides or high tides also helps the ships to arrive at the harbor more easily because during the high tide the water level comes closer to the shore, it raises to the shore side and then it helps the ships to arrive easily at the harbor. High tide also helps in fishing. And many more fishes come closer to the shore during the high tide and fisherman gets plenty of fishes. The rise and fall of water due to tide is being used to generate electricity in some of the places. Okay, now let's move on to the ocean currents. Ocean currents are streams of water that flow onto the globe, and these streams are marked as cold and warm currents. Okay, streams which originate from the pole to the equator, they are called as cold currents, and the ones originating from the equatorial region are called as warm current. The Labrador Ocean Current is cold current while the Gulf Stream is a warm current. The ocean current influences the temperature conditions of the area. Warm currents bring about warm temperature over land surface. The areas where the warm and cold currents meet provide the best fishing grounds of the world. And these best fishing grounds are seas around Japan and the eastern coastline of North America are such examples. There's one more thing that the areas where a warm and cold current meets, they also experience foggy weather, making it difficult for the navigation, for the ships to move on. Okay, with this the chapter ends. Hope you understood it well. Thank you. God bless you.